All right, we're gonna get started. In a little bit, we're gonna do some vibe refactoring. It's gonna be cool. I love some refactoring. Oh man, I really need to set up. What man, this camera is slouching more and more. All right. Better this is worse, isn't it? All right. All right. I think this is good. Uh, Let me see. All right. I'm going to do some vibe refactoring. We already talked a little bit about it yesterday with Pierre, but I've been doing this big refactor. Let me get my tablet. I've been doing this big refactor, but the refactor itself was pretty trivial. It was mostly renaming symbols, renaming concepts, which means that I had to not only touch like symbols and deterministic things, but also doc strings, file names, comments, documentation, like a lot of stuff. Some of it deterministic, right? Like some of it just can be done with refactor options and in traditional IDEs, but some of them are just like fuzzy refactoring, and that that is pretty easy to do with LLMs. But of course, if you have many tokens, if you have many files, then the context window becomes a problem, as you have to carry this over time. So to show you what this refactor, which I did with some tooling, tool assisted, but also mostly manual, like it was just like a bunch of longer codex sessions, just to show you what this looks like. And then let's see, is it just like the dependency scanning test? Oh, wait, so that's cool. You could see this is a significant amount of code. Some of it is just like planning stuff. But it's mostly renaming things like layer to section and parameter, right? Like you can see layer to section, and then parameter is like renamed to field, but then I removed it here. So it's just like a bunch of renamings here. But you can see some of it is variable names. So it's not just like I can just like change a couple of names in these top level definitions. I do need to dive in pretty deeply, right? And then if I do this kind of refactoring, renaming with an LLM over millions and millions of files, I mean, it's not millions of files, but it's, you know, it's a significant amount. I rename middlewares to sources, and inside the middlewares, there's like layer middlewares that those become section sources, right? Like there's just like a bunch of stuff here. And I did use a whole set of, there's a whole set of tools that I used. So here you can see this is like kind of a bad refactor actually. But I don't fully care. Like there's a lot of stuff that I'll have to clean up anyway. This is a code base that I've been schlepping around with me for years, even before LLMs, and I kind of am attached to it. Like I could probably do a better job at it by just, you know, by just deleting it. It touched a bunch of like old files, which I'm not sure is like the best idea. I could just like go clean up some of this as well. So we'll do like a bigger cleanup at some point where I'm going to go over like a legacy code base and just start ripping out stuff that has, most of it is not vibe coded actually. So most of it is like me actually wanting more features than were good for myself, or features that were important at the time and are way less important now that LLMs can write much more code. So you can see stuff like layers, parameter layers is now renamed to schema schema, but then parameter definition and stuff like that hasn't been like cleaned up, like whatever. And to do this, I asked it to write code, right? Like my approach was like, oh, don't do the refactor at first. Like we can use AST functions and stuff like that to refactor. And I just told it to write code, and I was pretty tired, right? Like in the evening, I kind of go into this like blind programming mode where I'm just like, yeah, enter, 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 which I don't think is the worst modality to be using, but also it's something you have to be careful with, right? And so it started writing scripts like storing symbols into SQLite because I asked it to, or something like this. And I just let it loose on building scripts as it went. So there's a whole stuff of things here, right? Where it just like rename files like this. And then it replaces things with a regex, which is not great. So I was like, okay, well, we got to the end of this refactor and it looks pretty good, right? So we have a baseline to kind of compare against, but be good now to do a postmortem and kind of, and in this postmortem, kind of analyze what we did and try to make a better tool out of it, right? Try this again. So if we go to the workspace that I did, and I'm going to store just like the documentation page so we can examine this a little bit more in detail. Here I had the cleanup and the migration documentation. Like this is like kind of the migration tickets and then the cleanup at the end. So we can go in here, kind of have a look at the diary for the final cleanup, which is if we go here, we switch some like struct tags. Like we just do like a little bit of cleanup at the end. And I'm not sure if I created a postmortem here. If there's like a postmortem document, no, there's just like renaming strategy, I think, and a diary. So nothing too crazy here. But as we go up, I ported like this clay package, and here I made a postmortem, right? So this was the first package that I ported to this new API, and this was like kind of a manual thing-ish. It was a way for me to validate that my migration document was good. And ultimately, I kind of want to provide a tool to do this automatically, where I'm like, hey, here's like a breaking change. Here's a tool to refactor your code base, or at least a set of skills and tools to do so, right? So this was testing the skill in a way. And then I asked it to do a postmortem to basically say, hey, like, what did you struggle with in your agent loop? Like, what did you have to repeatedly do until it worked? So that we can update the skill, right? So it's this kind of like self-healing process. And here proposed a couple of changes, and then I upgraded the migration playbook, and I moved on to actually building some tooling. And then I had like another package that I'm refactoring, where here again I'm building like a postmortem where I say, hey, what was like the issues that you had with this like now newly updated playbook, and it became less. Like none of these are directly relevant to the refactor. These are like a little bit more relevant for it, but less so, right? So this was the refactor, and now I was like, okay, I want to have like a better tool. I've played a lot with like code base indexing tools or attempts in the past, and now I'm like kind of starting to take it really more seriously. And I was like, hey, I know we can use GoPLS to do refactors, right? We can do renames, we can do that kind of stuff. So I had it kind of say, hey, you can use GoPLS, just like call help and then start exploring what it can do, and write that into a file. So I just like let the agent do some experiments, some sandbox stuff, right? Like I told it, create a sandbox and just like fuck around in it. And it says that, yeah, I can get the symbols, I can get the workspace symbols, I can do references, implementation, I can do some renames, there's like code actions, there's stats, all kinds of stuff that I can use with the GoPLS, right? And this functionality is something that's going to be useful to build this next tool that I've been building. And so similarly, I designed like a SQLite indexing tool, which this is something I've done like multiple times in the past. Um, and I guess we have a design document that it created. So the design document kind of tells us, hey, we can ingest the GIFs, we can ingest the Go symbols, the reference graph, the doc strings, the metadata. And then I put this on my tablet, started like annotating it, saying like, hey, I kind of want to like have more stuff in here. This was like a starting point for building this tool. And this design document has a lot of pseudocode. And the pseudocode is nice because it allows me to quickly validate what the model is going to implement, but of course also to quickly, because the model has written that, the model will like follow these things, and I can like kind of update them as I go. It doesn't have enough detail though for me to get bogged down in like Golang stuff or whatever. It's just like, yeah, this is like kind of, I recognize some APIs. It's kind of useful, but it's also like free enough that the model can do like stuff on its own. I could go really into the details, say like, is this a good API? Ultimately, this is a tool where I really don't care about the implementation as long as it works. The implementation matters in the sense that I do need a good design to have it work. And then I created this refactoring tool and started implementing it. And we can go look at the diary to see how far we got. So actually, we didn't get all that far. I wonder if I like switched tickets at some point. And so another thing that I did, and this is kind of interesting, is I started using ChatGPT Pro to do a lot of design, because I forgot how good ChatGPT Pro is, or maybe it's getting even better. And so I had it like crunch quite a bit on these designs. I started implementing the tool. Then I was like, hey, can you improve it? Can you do all of these kinds of things? And so this is where we're at now. I'm going to show you what I built, which is a tool called Refactorio, which I guess I could push. And I'm also going to push it to main. And then we'll have a look at the code base in a second. Let me close all of this stuff. I don't know what this is. Oh, this is my agent stuff. I'm gonna play with this later. Gonna close all of this. I'm pretty fearless with closing my workspaces now, because if I'm not able to close them, then I probably did something wrong. And then close all tabs. Then I think I can do zoom. And then we'll choose zoom 150. Yeah, maybe zoom 125. All right. And what we have right now, and I'm actually going to start a new workspace. It's this tool Refactorio here. I've never used it. I pushed it pretty far in the implementation yesterday, but I've never really kind of used it. So this is going to be a surprise. And I also wonder, I don't think I actually had it implement this here, right? Why is this saying it's still thinking? I thought I kind of maybe got there. I'm not sure. I think I got to the ChatGPT Pro thing, and I was like, I'm going to look at this later today. So let's go make a new workspace. So the first thing we're going to do, so let me see, migrating to packages. Let me see if there's any kind of codex that I can salvage. What's the last thing you did? Or the last bunch of things and tickets. Did you work on Refactorio? I don't know which session it was. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. We're going to create a new workspace with my workspace manager, and what we're going to create for this workspace, we're going to take a couple of packages with us just so that we can try out refactoring them, and then is implement Refactorio refactoring, right? So I created a workspace. It checked out all the different repos, made branches. This is a fully vibe coded tool from like March last year. I have no idea how it works. It's like broken in all kinds of places, but also it works. So there you go. And so what did it work with? Ticket, wrote detailed analysis, refactoring, tool analysis and design, refactor your planning. So this was the design over here. And then GL008 is what we were looking at here, right? GL008. So I can go to the end and it just like built this refactoring tool design, refactoring tool analysis. So we're going to just look at the design just to be sure. And refactoring tool design. And we build a cohesive refactoring tool suite that orchestrates inventory, refactory, run it, plan. Okay, so this is cool. This is kind of, I think, where I stopped yesterday with applying, doing some planning for refactors, that kind of stuff. These tickets were stored in Glazed, and now we switch to Refactorio, so we don't have these tickets. So I'm going to quickly copy these tickets over for the sake of it. So what we're going to do here, doc manager, init, root, and the root is going to be Refactorio. This is a way for me to do this kind of document management that you're seeing here. And let me just have Pierre join. All right, so sorry, I'm just gonna go invite Pierre, and then see if that works. All right, Pierre is joining. Let's add Pierre to the mix. Hello, Pierre. How's it going? Can you hear me?
Thanks. Yeah.
We'll have the transatlantic delay. Hopefully, it's not going to be too bad.
Okay.
I was giving an intro of what I did yesterday, which is we quickly went over what I was refactoring yesterday, which was like a lot of renames, file renames, symbol renames, and I finished a refactor kind of in a semi-manual version, and I had a lot of postmortems that I created to go over what happened in these multiple sessions. I think it was like 4 codex context windows to do this refactor. A lot of tools were written that were not very effective, and write like a postmortem saying, hey, how can I use all this work that I did to maybe create a tool to then make it easier next time, right? And the cool thing is we can rewind time and do the refactor again and see if the tool helps. And right now, so I created this tool that's called Refactorio, and I'm going to copy the couple of tickets that I had yesterday over to this new repository that I have. So yesterday, as I was working on Glazed, I had all these tickets that I was using to kind of refactor things. And so I'm going to copy these two into my new repo. So this is just cleaning. So let me see. 0203, and then we're going to copy those in this new repository, refactorio ttem 02602. And then I should be able to see the tickets in this new repository. All right. This was a little bit of a household cleanup. Let me go to this new ticket, to this new workspace that I created, and and then just open the web page. So if we go back to home and we go to tickets, I'm in this new repository, but I see the tickets that I had yesterday. And I do have a tool. So let's open this new workspace here. Today's the... Wait, why doesn't this refresh? And then 2026. Oh, it's the 4th today. All right, implement refactoring. And we're going to go over a little bit about this tool. I think what I built yesterday in this tool is the indexing part. So we have a way to index our code base. Yeah, I think it's been a while since I used this IDE. We have a tool that basically allows us to ingest diffs, commits, documentation, all kinds of information, but I've never used it. So I actually don't know if it works. I don't know anything about this. So what I did, however, have it create, I think, is a playbook. No, we don't even have a playbook. So yeah, I really stopped abruptly yesterday. Are you following so far, Pierre?
Trying to catch up with what you do.
All right. Well, the first thing we're going to do is I need to catch up as well. So we're going to call codex. Oh, there's a new version of codex. Let me install that because why not do bleeding edge stuff?
They're talking about releasing Cloud 5. Have you heard of this?
No, I don't care. I don't care. I think it's good to not care at some point. The last few months I've been offline, and it's been good. I think.
Sometimes you really need to just let the news flow, let the hype do its thing, and just focus on using the tools and creating your workflows and what works for you, and instead of just bumping from one subject, a new subject to another, one model, new model to another, and just be like a bottle on the sea, just bumping on news and just actually doing nothing with it. So
yeah. So what's funny is Patrick McKenzie just posted that DSLs are great with LLMs.
oh yeah?
Yeah.
How much did you pay him?
I don't know, but I'm sure he's gonna pop off, or maybe not. Maybe he's posting too much. Where did he post this? Scott just sent it to me. Let me see. When was that? This was status February 3rd.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
February 3rd. I don't know, man. Well, I'll look at this later. But I really wonder if he's gonna pop off or not. But thank God I have a couple of videos by now where I can say hey, in 2023 I was talking about this. All right. Actually, he's got 40,000 views on this. Yeah. And anyway, whatever. I don't think it's possible to get reach on X at all. So we were I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Is create a new ticket, refactorio 001, which is implement some it's test indexing. Because I know the indexing functionality has been built and it says that it's working. I don't really fully trust it. So Uh, we're just going to
So
summon like
what do you index? Your documentation, your code,
everything.
everything?
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
I don't know
So
how to.
you put that in SQLite DB,
Yeah. Um,
and you use like different kind of embeddings, or you use fancy things, or just like out of the box embeddings and stuff like that.
no embeddings, just like full text search. Maybe I'll add embeddings at
Okay.
some point. Um, I've never really done embedding search because I keep running my head against SQLite embedding modules. But
Yeah.
one day I will. I don't think it's all that important in this case because we're doing symbol replacement, so exact string matching is going to be good enough.
Simon Williamson was talking about the SQLite modules for embeddings and vector sort search and stuff like that. I think
Yeah,
there are a couple of modules.
there's a bunch of them. I keep losing track of how to compile them. They're like a pain in the ass to compile, and I like this kind of like self-contained Go binary. So I always struggle having it. Um, but also for the size of embedding stuff that I do, maybe I can just do it really naively,
Mhm.
which I know he's been doing. Um, so what we're doing here is right. We're creating a new ticket with this tool called Doc Manager that I use, for which I have a UI, and here I can kind of see it created this new ticket. If I refresh, because it's a shitty tool, so it doesn't refresh by itself. It hasn't created the ticket yet. No, it has created it. Why doesn't it show up? Oh, it hasn't created it. Why? Oh, it's reading like documentation from before, so it hasn't even started. One thing we can do while this is going, right? And one thing that I can do, since I had this ChatGPT Pro do a lot of analysis on how to implement the refactoring, this is going to be our plan for a latter stage, but I'm going to save it for later because we're going to import this once we get into, after we verify the indexing, we're going to start building the refactoring part of it, right?
Yeah.
And so if I
And actually,
refresh,
it's a kind of Jira or Jira. Yeah.
Doc Manager,
Kind of. Yeah. Or tickets, with your tickets and stuff like that.
I called it ticket. I don't know if that was the right. Yeah, it's like the alpha, the first vibe code of a concept that I have. Mostly, it's about keeping documents organized. And then
Yeah.
if you look at
Okay.
the document, this is pretty interesting for people, in terms of like, there's all these like concepts about graph databases and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
What this does in the metadata part of the markdown file, you will have
Yeah.
links to code. And so it will
That's
say,
your front matter stuff. You put properties in the
exactly,
metadata of Markdown, which is
exactly.
very
So
useful, by the way.
yeah, it's great. So if you look at, say, refactoring tool analysis, in the metadata, you'll have a title, the ticket, the status, if it's active, topics. All of this is kind of an experiment, like intent. I don't really use it. Owners, I don't really use it. What's really useful is the related files.
Yeah.
So there's commands to relate files to each other. So it's kind of a graph, but with like totally flexible edges, right? Like the edges have a note, and then that's it. Um,
Okay.
and what I can do with this is I can build search, right? So I can go to search, and then I can say reverse lookup, and then maybe I will find a file that's called main.go. There's a lot of them, and then I'll find all the diaries and tickets that are related to this.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of useful
It
to
the backlinks, kind of
exactly.
backlinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The search is like not that great, right? Like I don't really know how it works. I rarely use it, but this is like an idea that I had in the future of like using this a little bit better. Um, so it's an
So it's just
alpha,
full text search in SQLite.
and in this case, real search, right? And then there's graph search that I can do on top of it. But all of it is like a little bit vibed and broken. So whatever. It's experimental. One day, it works well enough for me to do what I wanted to do, which is like a great memory system for my tool base and for my code base. And most importantly, it's a way to store all of these fucking markdown files that models like to create, right?
Yeah,
Um, so they're all stored in keywords and they're all like named kind of correctly. Here, it's not fully named correctly. This should be a playbook, and it's not. But at least they're all under a ticket, and there's like a fairly standardized way of finding them. Um, so here you can see this is the document that I asked it to create, right? To say like, hey, tell me how to use Refactorio. Um, and it has
yeah,
currently a single tool. It's called Refactor Index, right? But then it will tell me, hey, you can kind of run it this way. So that's what we're going to do now. It's like basically learn how our software works. It's like kind of downloading it from GitHub and then just like um, learning it. And I think that's important. Like we're not building software anymore. We're like kind of learning software most of the time now, I think. Um, so we're gonna build this into what is it called? Refactorio index, and then command refactorio index, which is gonna build it. Oh fuck. It's using because it was in a mono repo before. It was in a multi repo, sorry. So we're just gonna remove this. Then hopefully that will work. Oak, Oak at revision 0. Go get github.com. Go golem Oak at latest. Unknown revision 00. Oh man, I hate Golang packaging at times. Go mod tidy.
it's supposed to be really, really resilient, and I don't think any package
Oh no,
manager
this
is
is
easy.
Go
Yeah,
really fucked it up. It's gotten better,
try
but
try Python. Python is even worse, I
no,
think.
Python is better. Uh, I think. So this is because in my um, oh this is because here apparently it started changing things in Oak. Let me see. This is match to origin main. So I'm just gonna add Oak to my
What is Oak?
it's just a tree sitter wrapper, which it's not really necessary, but
Okay.
why not? So hopefully that will fix the compile issues. Just adding. I probably didn't release like the latest version, so the package manager is not able to find it. It's like the problem with multi repos. Why the fuck? But does not contain Oak package API. I hate this because I never really understand what version, why it's not finding the, even though I use Go work, it's not finding like the right thing here. Oh man, because it is using Go work, right? And it's using Oak Glaze Refactorio. So I don't know. I don't know why it would need. See, this is working. So okay, whatever.
You didn't change anything, right?
No, I think it's go mod tidy does try to do something else with I don't know.
Have you
In
seen like these people who are were saying that RAG is dead and RAG wasn't good in terms of performance. And for instance, Cursor, they try to use RAG first, and then they switch to use like grep, read file, and all very simple stuff on top of agent searching.
I think
Have you seen this?
Cursor,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Cursor uses pretty advanced search techniques. And we were
But
talking
it's
about
very
this.
interesting that they're not using RAG anymore. They're just like use
That,
agents and perform search on based on agents.
but that's all. That all doesn't mean anything. I think so. We talked about this yesterday, right? That like actually, let me see. This is my. I renamed the stuff we did yesterday. But if we go back and we go back to this to these standard techniques that you have of domain specific knowledge, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
pattern being, hey, what's domain specific knowledge, and how do you get it? And people call it retrieval. What they often mean by that is like, oh, we use embeddings as a simple naive
Mm-hmm.
search. But
Mm-hmm.
what what all these coding agents do, whether they're agents or not, is like the agent starts at like step one, right? And it has
Mm-hmm.
like an empty context window. It has like no context at all, right? This is when you start
Mm-hmm.
codex on the command line. And then the first thing codex is going to do is like it's going to put agents MD in there, or whatever agents MD
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
Um, so this is going to be plus agents MD, and then maybe codex is going. I don't know exactly how they work, or what Cursor does. Maybe they will by themselves. Codex is going to run some code. So I'm going to call it codex run versus to say this is code that runs on your machine. For example, maybe it runs like ls. Um, I don't know what other things it could put in here. Maybe it puts just like a list of the files in here, which I
Mm-hmm.
know a bunch of agents have done at times or not. So now we have a second block that's like the result of this ls, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I make this blue, then blue is agent MD, and then this is the result of the ls. Um,
Like you mean the kind of design and build the context piece by piece, like a Lego kind of stuff.
yes, this is how the context window is built, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
usually append only so that you can use prefix caching. And
Mm-hmm.
let's imagine me as a user, color green. I'm like, hey, LLM, like, please do X, right? So now I'm going to have a little block. That's my block. Um, I'm going to get tired of this pretty quickly. Um, this is like, hey, do X, right? Like this is appended. And so now we
Mm-hmm.
send it to the LLM, to the
Mm-hmm.
cloud. And this comes back with a response where it's like maybe, hey, I thought maybe it would be good to search for, and then a call tool, right? Search code
Mm-hmm.
base. And this search code base, so let me just add colors here. I'm going to use, say, pink for the LLM. So this is a pink response. And then we do have a tool call down here, right? Tool call.
Yeah.
So some kind of like structured data. And then this comes back in. Now our context window is blue, orange, green, pink, gray. Um, so we have the user input here. We have the agents MD at the top. We do have some information filled in by the coding agent at the beginning by running a program. Then we have an LLM response in pink. So thinking trace, whatever. And then we have a tool call. And this tool call, it could be search code base and it could be like embedding search, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this,
And they talk about hierarchical retrieval. So I don't know really what it means. Hierarchical retrieval interfaces.
All of that, I mean, it could be ls also, it could be like grep, right? Like all of these
Mm-hmm.
tools to search the code base, they're kind of like up to the model to do things. Maybe they have, other things in their harness, but at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, codex now is going to run the tool, right? So codex
Mm-hmm.
dot run tool, and I'm pretty sure Cursor has like a code base search kind of tool because you can see it asking questions about the code base. So
Yeah.
or ls or find or whatever. So you can totally do code base search with standard tools, which is why people say
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, it's easier to do code base search with standard tools instead of using code base search as a code base search tool. But that doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
Like you don't know how code base search is implemented. And of course you could just build code base search with ls and grep, for example, right? Or you could make it better
Mm-hmm.
and say like, hey, I've got much more information about the code base. Like, why don't I use this? Um, and I think it's kind of a stupid take to say RAG is dead. You should only use ls and grep. And it's like, no, you should just find the tool that creates the right tokens, right?
Yeah.
um, and at the
Like
end, if
in fact, everything is RAG in a sense because everything
exactly,
is retrieval of information, whatever tool you use, in fact, or whatever storage or embeddings or text or whatever. Yeah, you retrieve.
it, I think there's two patterns though. There's this like static augmentation that's like hard coded, right? So
Mm-hmm.
adding agents MD, adding ls up front, that's like kind of hard coded. It's like in codex in the agent.
Yeah.
The model has no influence on it. Here, however, this is under the model's control. So,
Mm-hmm.
right, so you could, I don't know if you want to call it like static RAG, but to me, they're different design patterns, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then here you could be like, hey, this is LLM driven context creation, context augmentation, or whatever. And this up
Because
there,
I mean, all this scaffolding is very important for the quality of your context, thus the quality of the output of the LLM. So, like the implementation and the architecture you choose is very important for the quality of the output of the LLM, whatever tool you're building.
yeah, exactly. And uh, what we're building right now is basically such a tool. It's like, hey, search the code base so that you can tell me what I need to refactor, right? Like that's the goal of
Yeah,
this refactor
yeah.
index. And as such, all of the information in the refactor index is coupled to Git commits, for example.
Okay.
And let me just fix the compilation issues because it's all a little bit broken right now. I shouldn't, because I built the refactoring tool with the refactored version of glazed, so that was maybe not all the cleverest part. Um, but the branch that we need to use to build it is this branch, and now it should work, hopefully correctly. Go work use because we're updating the compiler version. Oh, see, it's using 125.7. Okay, cool. Why is this network always
The-
disconnecting? I wonder if it's my USB cable is so shitty. I should find another one, but oh, look at that. I have one. I have a good one over here. All right. I wonder if this killed my SSH or not. We'll see. Okay. So let's try again. Go run command refactor index. Hopefully this will now compile. And it does, right? So we have this refactor index tool, which I've never used. And I guess now we're going to index the refactor index code base. So I'm just going to follow, like literally like a tutorial, follow this tutorial here, right? So I'm going to do refactor index init Did it build it correctly? Refactorio index. Okay, that's why. Refactorio index. And I'm going to call it refactor index. Oh my God. There we go. So refactor index init tells me a bunch of stuff. Field DB is required. So I'm going to call this foobar.db, created with schema version 10. And then I can ingest data into the database. So we initialize the DB. This is kind of a shitty, totally shitty kind of GPT-5 tutorial. Make it a real nice human engaging tutorial with prose paragraphs, really detailed example commands, step-by-step explanations, and link back to the implementation as well. We'll see if this helps us have some nice material, right? Because this is like a little bit rough to understand. So, however, I do have ingest diff and then repo dot from head to head, maybe. Okay, so it indexed 4 files in the last commit because the last commit had 4 files changed. And so this is all the ingestion of it. Can I do ingesting everything at once? So it cannot do that. So we're going to do ingesting the commits. And we're going to ingest the symbols. So the symbols are for the current commit, I guess. Oh, it turned it into a tutorial. Okay, sanity, check your workspace. We have GoPLS, we have RG. Let's set these variables up. Prepare inputs for doc hits and tree sitter. Doc hits and tree sitter require small input files. We'll build a simple list and a tree sitter query file. Okay. Not fully sure what this is about. This is a oak query. Like oak is a thing that has a little DSL to do queries. It's not great. It's really old. It's like 3 years old by now. So we can start initializing the whole thing here. We don't need the go work off. We can ingest all of this. Oh my God. I'm going to remove the go work. Hold on. Go work off. Goodbye. So it has indexed commits and diffs. So far, so good. We're going to index symbols and code units. It indexed 224 symbols in 6 packages and 32 files, and then code units, I don't really know what that is, in 32 files. So this is good as well. Ingest documentation hits. So it scans. This is going to scan the database, the code base for certain terms, which is useful for, refactoring documents and stuff like that. So it found 1,300 hits on terms txt, which, okay. And then ingest a tree sitter capture. This is going to be more interesting. In the queries for tree sitter, we see that it has a query for the function declaration. And we could add more tree sitter queries in here. So it indexed 14 files, captured 28 functions, and now we can start querying it, which is going to be the interesting part now. Oh, index GoPLS references. The validation playbook shows how to extract one from the There is a validation playbook. Interesting. But let's see if we can find some symbols. So we can see diffing the files. We can see there's files that are in here that have been not renamed. I'm not sure how to interpret this. And then we do have a bunch of symbols like ingest code, Unix command, type, package, and signature. So those look legit. There's not too many of them, but it's good enough. And then there's a way to do reports, I guess, which I don't know what this report looks like. I don't really think it's going to be all that interesting. Diff reports and then diff files. Yeah, okay, there's nothing in here. If we restart this, so did you follow so far? It's like the tool seems to work, right? It doesn't really do very much. You still here, Pierre? Did you freeze? I think we're still streaming though. I think it's like a Pierre issue. I'm gonna have him back. So anyway, we this tool seems to kind of run, but it doesn't really help me as such very much. But I know it kind of has like all the data in here, and I wonder if it has like a help page. It doesn't. So there's some bunch of things to be done, right? So to keep a little list of the things to be done, I usually like to use my tablet, and we'll have a look at that. So things that I note is there is no documentation bundled into the binary. There is no search function, and there's no web visualization. I think would be nice, but I do want to build the search functionality first. So I'm going to let me see if I can get Pierre back. So these three things, the no documentation is maybe the first one I want to have, just so that I can start in the second codex using refactor index to kind of like start having an agent use it. So I'm going to say use the help system in help system.md and write a nice how to use documentation page, see how to write good documentation pages, and initialize the help system in main, right? Refactor index main.go and write a detailed how to use documentation. That way we will have inbuilt into the binary under the help a list of help topics. So Pierre apparently cannot be joining. Let me try again with a different link. Okay, well that seems to not work. That's not great. Ecamm live. So it's going to build its little documentation here, right? And in this case, I can kind of parallelize work, which is I want to research what a good functionality for search would be. So search functionality, and then keep a detailed diary, analyze the code base of Refactorio and the index structure, and design a full search system, what queries can be done, potential CLI, verbs, a REST API for search, how to implement it, etc. Store the detailed analysis in the new ticket. And here I parallelize, I think research and this kind of like documentation work is pretty valuable to parallelize. Code, I don't really see the point of parallelizing code because it's just going to be like a pain in the butt to merge. And my brain won't be able to keep up with the features built anyway, right? Here, I mean, I'm talking right now, but I'm kind of building the search functionality. Once I have the search functionality designed, I can implement it. And then in parallel, I will have ChatGPT Pro maybe design a web UI for browsing my code base now that I have all this schema, now that I have all of this stuff, right? So what I will do in this case is I will zip the code base, put it into ChatGPT Pro and say like, hey, make me like a great design for a web UI for this thing. And then I'll take this great web UI design, which like I'm going to explicitly ask it to not do layout stuff, not widgets, but focus on functionality and REST API and like what the UI is for, the intent, what kind of queries we can do with it. And then I'm going to put it into Opus and just like kind of have it design screens for that, right? So I'm going to wait for the full text for the search research to finish so that I have something for ChatGPT to grab onto. We've seen that it kind of ingests stuff. I don't know how fully useful and how fully correct that is, but it did give me like a decent amount of base code to then refine my indexing and ingestion and all of that as well. And even though I don't like the tree sitter indexing, I'm not really sure what the GoPLS does. I'm not sure what code units are. It generated a lot of stuff after plans that I reviewed where I was like, oh, these plans make sense, right? But the actual implementation might have diverged. All of this is fairly complex. And at the end of the day, I don't even know what kind of tool I'm building. I'm just like, for myself, it's like I've built so many ad hoc code indexing tools. Now it's time to get serious and build something that will stand the test of time and will be a useful tool for LLMs. And I think that's where open source is going, is that I will spend a lot of time kind of refining what is a good verb, what is not a good verb, and working at this level of engineering, which makes sense to reuse. Like it's the same way that everybody uses Playwright because Playwright has put a lot of effort into what's a good structure to represent a DOM in like few tokens. What are good tools to expose? And it works pretty well, right? It's like, even though it's easy to implement it, kind of this engineering of making sure it works well and all of that, that's work that kind of, it can be handled by LLMs, I think, at some point. LLMs will do this like this this oh, now I lost track because Pierre sent me this Bustamante Nicolas rag obituary. I hate this, like rag being turned into this like keyword for whatever people wanted to do. To me, this doesn't make sense. I think these techniques will always be useful. It's like, it's just a good way to find information. And if people just say rag for like naive chunking plus embeddings, then that's not rag. Rag is like retrieval augmented generation, which means you do some retrieval on a knowledge base and put that into your context window. So to me, hybrid search is RAG as well, right? And then re-ranking is just making the results better. There's like re-ranking is a good one, but there's other ways of doing it. So I think a lot of people just like assume RAG means naive chunking with embeddings. Um, but to me, it's like everything the LLM puts out a query that is then interpreted by something more deterministic to get right context. That to me is like what like the the LLM outputs a retrieval query or a retrieval program. Could it be grep or not? But that program, that structured code is going to be interpreted by a deterministic computer to return the right information. And then suddenly you see it's not just about databases and queries, it can be anything, right? Um, and indeed, I think anything is like a good way to approach it and say like, hey, agent, you know how to write code, like just write it. Except that the search space is so high right now that even if you were to do, a self-improving loop, which you can totally do, right? Like there's prompt optimizers, it would be expensive, and humans right now are able to make it cheaper. So, we'll just do that. So we do have now, hopefully have our documentation going inside the binary. If I do run this, now I should have nice formatting and I should have my tutorial in there. Nice colorful formatting, and I have refactor index how to use, right? So this would be a good test now that we have that. So git commit and git commit all of this, including other files you didn't write personally. And we can see a certain research down here. The search system design has also finished. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start I'm going to reuse this codex since it already has all of this context loaded, right? But this thing now has the search system design. Maybe what I'll do is like just review it manually before giving it to ChatGPT Pro. And in the meantime, I'll have the top level codex index its own code base, or index maybe another code base down below, and kind of see if it would like to have more information or so, right? So use refactor index to index skeleton in full, use the tool, verify that it works nicely, test the different features, query the DB itself using SQLite, etc. I want you to be a full investigator of the code base and really assess what this tool can and cannot do. Keep a frequent, detailed diary of your exploration and come back with a full post-mortem report and review and suggestions for improvements and things that were great. I don't know. I'm just like putting some random words in here. In the meantime, I'm uploading the search engine research, the search verb, search functionality research to my tablet to just like kind of go over it. Maybe I'll get some ideas from it. Maybe I'll have things to correct. And I really like doing that, right? So if I go to my tablet now, which is where, so if I go to the tablet now, and I don't know why this always like kind of crashes. So here we are. If I go to, oh, it just installed an update. Great. So 2026, and then we can go to today's folder, and we can see there's ref search functionality for 2, and then I can kind of start reviewing this document, which is what I'm going to do now. There's this design document, so I can look at the goals of what this document is about. I'm going to use a highlighter today, just so that's a little bit more visible on stream. So provide unified search across code units, symbols, references. So my first comment here is like, what the fuck is a code unit, right? And I like writing out questions to myself just because I can see the questions I wanted to ask later on. So and it just helps me think as well. Structured filters by run, capture name, change type. That's cool. Keep SQLite first, rely on full text search. So here we could add embeddings later, for example. But I think more important than embeddings would be graph search. And that's something I will play with later today, not on stream. And then CLI and REST, that's what I asked for. And then search results traceable back to the underlying index rows. That's nice. That's not something I thought about. So that's cool. Non-goals, real-time indexing of live editor buffers, cross-repo federated search, search-specific storage beyond SQLite. Nope, we don't care about that. This is a summary of the current structure. I'm going to skip it because I kind of reviewed it yesterday. So it must, which run ID target, because they represent different snapshots. So this by default latest would be a good one. Which might be something to prompt the tool to do like right from the start, because it will save us some time. Man, the Go work stuff is like really fucking me up. It's so freaking annoying, man. Any kind of little fart will just like, because oh man, it's this stuff, the modules really drives me wild. Why is it not able to build this even though I can build it? I think actually is I might not have given it the approval. No, use Go work. It should all be good. Maybe it wasn't trying to do Go work, and you can tell this is already 7% of context window just because it couldn't find the right package building. So this is more code than it took us yesterday to build like a beads clone, right? So context window sizes, for us, it's like, it sounds weird to say trying to compile the program is more work than building a full task planning system. It's like, well, you have to rethink that, right? So I hope that this works. Index in a new Go workspace using Go work. Man, I don't trust this nonsense. This package stuff with Go that I don't fully understand is really freaking me out. But we'll see. We'll see if this works. This might be something to really investigate more closely. And I think doing it, okay, it worked. No. Yes, this is the tool. Okay. Okay, so see, it already found a first bug, right? Which is the root commit cannot be included because it has no parent. This is something great to test out, right? And it would have taken me quite a bit of time to figure out by myself. But in the meantime, I can just continue working on something that's straightforward. So in a way, working with LLM agents has made my engineering like kind of very deterministic, actually. It's like I'm not going to be thrown off by some kind of weird research stuff, or like not being able to configure things, or like having to match like Git commits. Like I know that it will maybe not be the most efficient to run an agent to do it, but also my engineering is going to be, every kind of little bump in the road is going to be absorbed by like the shock springs of the LLM, right? Like that's kind of how I think about it. It's like now I can kind of go on really, really rocky terrain and just like drive straight forward. And that's what I'm doing, right? It's like my engineering is like, okay, I need a search functionality. So I'm going to design a search functionality, and I can do so by just sitting at the coffee shop and doing like this kind of deep thinking. And once I have the search engine design laid out, then it will just get implemented. If there's like little issues with package imports and whatever, those will all be taken care of for me. And in the meantime, I can focus on designing a web page, for example, right? So this is good. Like I wanted to have these use cases before I started designing the web page, so that I can look at this. So here, queries about commits as well. And one thing I realized is like, can we index the entire code base as it is at the current commit? That's also something that at the latest commit, right? So that's a question that's really important that I'm going to ask once this little agent has finished its work, right? And these use cases is something that I can already give the agent on top and just say like, hey, do it manually with SQLite. That way we'll have like a baseline of queries to run. So find all references to symbol hash X and commit Y. This is great. So this is a query about history. That's good. Search for functions containing CTX and error group in their body or doc comments. So that's cool. This search for added lines, commits. So this is all like pretty useful stuff overall. And one thing that I'm curious about is like, I want queries based for a symbol, not based on like the tables that we have, right? So queries that cross tables. Because here I can tell the LLM just like followed the tables we already have, right? So I can go back to my search agent and say like, amend the document by creating real life use cases that will need to span multiple tables and potentially multiple commits. Currently, we are too close to the database itself. So I'm going to add like more queries in here. And this is like the queries that cross tables. So, you know, in my document, I will either make like a little check mark if I'm at the coffee shop, and once I put it into a coding agent, I'll just cross it off. That way I won't forget. That way I won't forget things. So this clearly needs a check mark. Oops, man, scrolling on this tablet is like not the easiest. All right, so this clearly needs a check mark because I want to put it in here, right? So it's can we query and index the entire code base as it is right now in full? I'm not sure if ingestion is always linked to the files in a diff, for example. So I'm going to queue this as a query, and now I can kind of like, usually I put like a circle next to it when it's like it hasn't been done yet. It's like queued somewhere, and it could be that if I crash or I have to restart, I have to go back to this query and like kind of catch up. So same, uploading it to the remarkable unified search model. A single query entry point should accept both free text and structured filters. But we could also do like, maybe we don't need a unified kind of endpoint. Maybe we can also benefit from multiple search endpoints, entry points, so as to not overload the search with generalities. Design a whole set of alternatives as well and append to the doc. So we're just fleshing out the document with different ideas that we have. And I know later on, I will ask the agent at the top to kind of start testing some of these queries and fleshing out the document even further with selects and SQLite and all of that. But I will also then use ChatGPT Pro to kind of go even further. And ChatGPT Pro I've found pretty good at giving me really interesting suggestions of what I could do. So we'll see where this goes. In the meantime, anything else we can do? It updated with a set of alternative searching points. Yes. So we see we have a copy now. We're at 12 pages, but since we're going to upload one more, codex is fast, isn't it, today? So now it's uploading it, right, as a copy. And so once it's here, it's going to appear as the copy. Now we have 15 pages. We can go over it, and we can see search domain core queries, code units. So these are the unified search model, and then real world use cases, right? Who introduced a new error handling path and where did it spread? Story, and then search commits by message body for error wrapping, error wrap for each candidate commit. So these things are pretty interesting as queries, right? And they will actually inform like what is a good endpoint. And so here we have the API search, and then we have these like, see, these are very, very oriented to the tables. And maybe they're not all that great. Intent-based endpoints, this is like more interesting, I think, as search endpoints. But also they're like kind of close to our base things. So I don't think they're all that great. I'm gonna rely on ChatGPT Pro to come up with some of these, some better suggestions for endpoints. That's for sure. So this seems to have finished its own little report, and then I'm going to upload the report to Remarkable. And kind of pass that in as well. So we have a postmortem report. We're going to read that. We have a investigation report. Next steps: fix skeletons, compile errors. What are the compile errors? Is like another one. But it's going to upload it to the Remarkable tablet. Then I'm going to ask it what are the compile errors. It's doing the dry run. Then it's going to do the real run. It's weird why the skill, I mean, we're at 50% context. I don't know why it keeps forgetting about certain skill things. So we're going to try to fix the compile error. I'm sure it's like some package fuck shit. And I guess this is something that's going to be pretty common, of like indexing stuff during a refactor where things break. So that's interesting, right? Oh, so I asked the question. Well, in the meantime, we can start looking at the document that it uploaded, right? So it's going to be ref 001 indexing with the investigation report. It actually answered our question here. Yes, you can index the current file system state without tying it to diffs and commits. And refactor index, only these are history based. What right now looks like current snapshot indexing, history diff indexing. Can we? So what are the compile errors for skeleton? Can I query for last commit that touch this file, i.e., can I get the last history info in broad? I don't know if this is a good prompt. Also, what are the compile errors? Just some more follow-up questions that I have already, and now I'm going to start reading the document that it created. Just to look how far it got into examining this third-party code base, right? So this is interesting. It like created a bunch of terms here, which I don't know how it chose them, but like, sure, why not? Then it has a bunch of queries about type definitions and function definitions. The tree sitter stuff is not great. Like, I think I'll have to revisit that. It ingested the full history, and the root commit is not included in the run. So this is definitely a bug, and we should create a ticket to address it, right? Then it ingested the symbols, failed with package load errors. The skeleton repo does not currently compile against the workspace glazed APIs. This stops symbols entirely. So what I'm going to do here is go into skeleton, and then similarly to what I did yesterday, well, I refactored it yesterday so it compiles. So actually I didn't do that. So that's interesting. I left skeleton out. So maybe we should use a different repo. Could not import with layers list with blah blah. So this is my rename. This is gonna be fun. Well, I'm gonna say now do the same on what other tools do I have in here? I mean, this glazed refactor is kind of annoying. Also look at 01 search system.md and start running some of these query examples and real world use cases against the DB using raw SQL scripts. Store every script you write in the ticket, even temporary ones, and just like basically start investigating the search functionality as well, validating our search research, see what we find. We already found one bug, right? I'm slowly starting to get a better sense of how the system works also, which is like the main point of what I'm doing right now, is like learning this software that I kind of imagined now that it's here. So it did ingest tree sitter captures with failed because it found no files to do. So this is the tree sitter part kind of sucks. Tree sitter part sucks. It was an idea. It wasn't really successful. So fix double star glob. That's also a ticket by itself, right? Ingest a commit range, likely due to merges or range semantics. Okay. How does it handle merge commits? I don't know how it handles merge commits. This would be good to put into a documentation somewhere. But maybe not all that early. Because at some point I want to take all this functionality we're going to be building and then start building some core abstractions. But I can't build the core abstractions too early because I still don't really know what's a good abstraction for a history, right? I didn't think of merges actually when I was building this. I was like, I don't, and I don't know how merges are relevant for refactoring tasks, for example. Maybe I don't need to care. Maybe I just be like, whatever, just use the first parent. Or maybe it makes sense to do all of that. So this still first agent run started investigating the SQLite, observed results. It kind of did some counts, which is not all that interesting. And so now that we added the search queries in here, we will get more interesting SQLite queries, right? And so we do, however, have two bugs that we can address. We have other suggestions, right? Like add list limit and offset, fix the tree sitter glob support, expose a ignore package errors. That's good too. Add best effort symbol ingestions. That's nice too. What is this doing? Record run failures with error metadata. I don't know how useful that is. Yeah, maybe this is good for a web UI, right? Document required build state. The CLI should surface a clear message when repo compilations issues block symbol ingestions. So this is pretty good. I'm going to create a new session here. I'm going to, it still has full approval, and it's say like create a new doc manager ticket ref 003 address first improvements and keep a frequent detailed diary as you work. Go over ref 001 reference refactor. No, which one was it? 2, 3. Where was this report that it created? Okay, so this is something to store in a documentation somewhere. What's the report? It's ref 001 test indexing skeleton refactor report. And then I saw it do some post-mortem kind of stuff. And I don't know if it did. I thought I saw this flyby. I guess not. And create tasks for the improvement for suggestions. Then start with there was a third one, and also add a way to also add an entry on how to handle the root commit. Then go over each task and create a separate implementation plan for each task, where you analyze the code base and figure out the best way to build. So go over each task and create a separate implementation section in a global implementation plan, where for each task you analyze and figure out the best way to build the feature. Then store the implementation guide in the ticket and upload to Remarkable. So we do some kind of upfront planning. Some of these suggestions for improvement are kind of pretty complicated. So I do want to have like a view of it. And here we can see that it's, I actually don't know what it's doing here. Hopefully it's writing some more complicated SQL scripts. Here it's actually using, oh, it's indexing glazed right now. So it's using all the information I'd found before to index glazed, which will allow us to do a second report now that it's indexing a different code base that's like very different, hopefully also compiles. So I'm going to continue letting these guys do their research. We can currently we're parallelizing research and information crunching, right? Which is read only in a way. It's not mutating the code base. I won't have like merge conflicts or minimal merge conflicts just because they're touching ttemp and sometimes they run into issues with each other. We can see tree sitter is taking a long time, so that's something that's interesting to note. And this just allows us to kind of both me build up an understanding of the software, but also use the agents to explore all the like little areas where things could get tricky, and not have to surface those myself or be surprised by them in the future. So this is really kind of useful. I am going to wait for this like second report of the top level agent, right? Like the one that's doing real analysis, now that it's been primed with real world use cases, especially. And once I have its report, it's going to build use case kind of code base exploration tool UI for a human, and then REST APIs for potentially agents. One thing that I wanted to add here is like add a small section about this latest commit for file queries that you did. Maybe we can handle it better. In your new report about glazed, also add a small section about how we can handle this better. So I'm just going to add this in here. The tree sitter run took really like a long time, so I'm curious about that, what that is about. So we'll see. And then the downstairs one, like the lower one, is doing planning for addressing a whole set of improvement suggestions, right? Like for all of these, plus the root commit one. And so I'm going to have not only tasks for each of these, but like an implementation document that I can review just to make sure that there's not like some nonsense slipping in, or maybe give me some other ideas on what to implement. It will also teach me a little bit more about the code base structure, right? So codex is slow, codex is fast, codex is slow, codex is fast. I'm really interested in having the result of this top SQLite kind of stuff. So at some point, maybe I'll ask it to interrupt the tree sitter stuff. Which I really wonder, because tree sitter is fast as fuck, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I know that once it gets like 2 or 3 timeouts on the tool, it will just like skip it. So we'll see what that is going to do. One of the issues, because it's using go run, I think, is if we start implementing, this thing at the top might start to not be able to use its tool, because it will run into compilation errors as it's implementing. I could potentially start, making a more agile work tree kind of tool here, or use some kind of codex work tree orchestration nonsense, or I could just wait, and go play with my cat or something. So we can see avoiding further tree sitter attempts. So I know the tree sitter part is just like I should just rip it out. So that's maybe something to add here as well, as like rip out tree sitter for now, because it's not going to work, and as such, it's only going to stand in our way. And that's also useful before we hand it off to ChatGPT Pro, right? So I'm going to say also add a task to rip out tree sitter functionality for now. So this has been taken care of. It's like in a circle status. These are all in a circle status. So all of this is also in a circle status. And I can kind of go, not that it really matters in this case, but oh, this was the merge commit part. So the tree sitter part sucks. We're going to remove tree sitter for now. Then we do have create a bug ticket for the root commit. We did that. And then I think that's about it from what we noted in this document. You can see those are like kind of small adjustments, maybe. But they really do make a difference. And also they're like kind of real engineering, where I'm like, yeah, all of these things, I have to think about the decisions I'm making, and these decisions I'm making are based in like real information, right? It's like I'm building hypotheses on what I'm, or like ideas of what I'm building, and then I'm revising based on the real world stuff, and I'm using the LLM along to help me make the best decisions I can up front. Because I could say like, oh, maybe it worked all night and it just like went straight ahead, and then it like built all kinds of workarounds for tree sitter, and then I'm like, yeah, but like I actually don't care about the tree sitter. You didn't know that at the time, and so as such, um, yes, re-upload, and then here it's starting to write its queries, right? So I can see the fact that I now have SQL code that's starting to appear is going to be really useful, because now, for example, I have latest commit for a file, so I don't even need to have information about it, right? It's just going to be like, hey, okay, that's cool. I can start like playing with it. If I was really courageous, I could like start configuring the data source and all of these things. But I'm not. So upload plan bundle of all Now I'm going to have the bundle uploaded. We'll review the bundle, the implementation plans, the tasks that it created, maybe make the task a little bit more detailed, for example. And then what's funny is for this kind of stuff, like queries and, like nerdy stuff, Codex is very like Anthropic-like and just writing a lot of them. It's probably keeping very close to what's in the original document, right? And so it's still doing the tree sitter count, but we decided to remove it. And what we can do if we go to the tablet now, it uploaded those to the improvements, and we do now have our global implementations plan. Task 1, best effort symbol suggestion. So implementation approach, extend ingest symbols config with ignore package error and partial OK bool. Make an ingester abstraction is something that I'm kind of starting to think about. Because I'm like, these are probably going to be function arguments. Function args could be options, right? So maybe this is a good point in time to start go look at like what is ingest symbol with how do I do ingest symbol config? Oh, so it's already a config struct. Okay, so that's cool. And then we do have ingest symbols with a config. That's good enough for now, I think. We might want to have an abstraction for the database, but that's fine for now as well, I think. We do have a store abstraction on top of the database. That's cool too. This file is in PKG, I hope. Okay, so this is in PKG. This is good. Here I'm also building up. I'm using the occasion of something that piqued my interest in the document to kind of start mucking about a little bit in the code base to get a feel of how this is built. So this is 250 lines. There's like stuff that probably can go into a utils package. I'm not going to care too much for now because this is the kind of stuff that ChatGPT Pro is good as well. Currently, there's nothing that's like seemingly running away in terms of sizes. They're all like kind of AST switchy things. Might have to figure out what to do here. I do have some ideas that I'm not going to share on screen yet on how to approach that. And I think most of the code is going to be very similar here. We could start, organizing our packages a little bit better. I think the reports functionality is also something we can kill. We can also kill the reports functionality for now. Add as task. There we don't need a new upload. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm noting here where I'm staying in the loop, and it's like I don't feel like I'm losing time. I don't feel like I'm overloaded by the agents. And I think these like little adjustments as I go make a really, really big difference into like how far the agent will spray, right? Because I'm making these like little but pretty significant at times adjustments where I can say like, hey, use like this design pattern because it's time. It's time to use this design pattern. If you don't use it, you're going to go crazy. Behave identically. CLI commands do not expose a flag to override this to both commands. It lists directly all the files to touch. So this is really important, right? Like this implementation plan already lays out the exact landscape where things have to be changed, how to validate them. So I can basically just enter and say like, please build this ticket. Like you're good. Right? We're at 80% context window. So it's not that, it's not that tragic right now. I will just say like, hey, please implement, but I can also just like start it afresh. And of course I could do like parallel agents, but I don't think this is a wise decision because they're all like mucking about in the same location. I could, I could do some more queries here and determine, oh, this is something that's like easily parallelizable based on the files that they touch, or maybe they can like organize themselves in a DAG, right? Which is something like create a mermaid diagram, no, an ASCII diagram of the task dependencies, so I can hand it off to my team. So now it updated, it uploaded this, it made a new report. So it made a new report, glazed refactor index report. It uploaded it to upload the new report and diary to Remarkable. And here it's going to say like task number depends. So T3 depends on the tree sitter. Well, also not just dependencies, but also conflicts, expected merge conflicts, right? I don't know if this really makes sense. I've been playing around with this a little bit. I don't really find too much value because, I mean, the stream's going to finish in 20 minutes. I'll just let this run. We'll have ChatGPT Pro to use. We can look at some of the code that it's building. We'll have plenty of stuff to do for me to not worry about being faster and having to deal with merge conflicts, right? So expected merge conflicts, legend dependency. So create a parallelization plan for what the sequence of work, assuming we have 3 workers. This is LLM logic right now, but we could totally build a tool for this, right? And then use the fuzzy knowledge of the LLM, which is valuable in this case, to be like, I kind of feel that these two things are going to conflict, and maybe we can already create like upfront prompt to then help, validate the conflict or not. Record run failures with metadata. Let me not skip too quickly over these. I think I skipped some. So remove task 3, right? Remove task 3. We are killing tree sitter anyway. Is there a task to kill the tree sitter? So I'm going to say remove task 3 tree sitter glob support, because I'm not sure which version we're looking at. It might have already done it. But those are also like adjustments that are really important. If you give that to leave that task in, then it's just going to continue building this tree sitter thing. And maybe it will spend like 80% of its work on something I don't even care about. Which is, if you look at big vibe coded code bases where people really go full in, which is why, say, Jeffrey Huntley's like compiler or things like Gastown and Beads are interesting, is like you can see what this looks like at the end, and you can see like whole subsections that are entirely addressing something that's not even used anymore, just because it fails to compile. And the models are so adverse to deleting stuff where they're like, this thing fails to compile, I have to fix it. And they're like myopic, and they just don't realize like, well, no one really calls this CLI verb, right? But I'm keeping it because it's in the CLI verb. So, why not keep it? So here it's like doing a little bit of fuck shit to remove its tasks. So already you can see that these things might be problematic. So adding the limit offset flags, this is cool. I mean, we want cursor-based navigation? I don't think so. Record run failures, add a new table, run errors, add a table metadata maybe, right? Or add status. This is the one thing we want to do. For run failures, just add status plus error JSON columns to meta runs. Or actually, do we want a key value thing for different runs? Actually, add a key value metadata table for runs, so we can store arbitrary stuff in there. Actually, also, and storing the errors in the meta runs is actually useful. Optionally set a status column to failed or success. Yep, we do want to add the status column. So these little adjustments that I'm doing here are going to save us a lot of time because they're going to be one shot from the beginning, and then we won't have to like recreate the necessary context to actually address them later on, which will just cost a lot of token to do something we already could have done right from the start. So are there other things that we might need to make decisions on? Optionally persist the raw GA as raw output blobs. Yes. So for task 1, now that we have errors, so for task 1, also design this is like a symbol ingest. Store the different Go packages errors as metadata for the run. Yeah, so record an error entry with severity warning. Record with severity warning. And then we can go look at it. Maybe we should make an errors table overall that can be linked. I don't know. Maybe we can refactor that later on. Go PLS ingestions of missing symbol defs. Add a skip symbol lookup. Yeah, default true. Right. For task, go PLS, add skip symbol lookup, default true. Still results in a new table that does not require symbol def ID, symbol refs unresolved. I'm not fully sure what this is all about, but okay, yeah, why not? I think this is kind of important for refactor to find like undefined symbols. And then document required build, state, and surface clear CLI messages. Okay, handle root commit explicitly. So here we have two options. Detect when from the root commit. Add a include root flag to ingest commits and to make the behavior explicit. Automatically include from when it has no parents. This keeps existing semantics for non-root ranges. Yeah, sure. We'll do option B. So for the task root commit, use option B. And then rip out tree sitter functionality, temporary removal, remove the ingest, remove. Yeah, so tree sitter removal, make sure oak is removed from the repo dependencies. And I think that's it. Update the implementation plan, update the tasks, break them down further into separate sections per task, and then subtasks, and then start working on each task one by one. Build, commit, update your diary, check off, task, continue. So now we're going to have it build this. We have our glazed refactor investigation report, right? Which is now going to be under Ref001 test indexing, and we have the glazed inspection report, which is the top level agent, finished this work. And so successful runs, failed runs, tree sitter ingestion, right? And then it said, I'm stuck, let's touch grass. Raw SQL scripts are stored in there. Search system commit message search. Result sample, docs are not general full text search. Codebode, there is no FTS search. So these are add FTS on code unit bodies. So this is going to be making suggestions, right? Improve search. What worked well? What did not work? So tree sitter that we handled. Code unit search lacks FTS, so that's something to do. Commit dates are stored in relative format. Yes, this is also something to handle. Diff search is not commit scoped unless you run range ingest. What does that mean? Add a streaming or chunked, no. Add FTS indexes, store commit date, expose a built-in last commit for filed query in CLI, or add a view. I like adding a view. That's nice. Add a limit flag. So this is already checked. And unreliable commit date ordering. All right, so create a new ticket ref 004 search improvements and make tasks and a detailed implementation plan for adding FTS to code unit and other relevant columns, store commit dates in ISO 8601, add a view for last commit per file. And then what does diff search is not commit scoped mean? Unless you run range ingest. So here again, creating like a fourth ticket so that when we resume work on this task, on this program, because the stream's coming to an end, then we'll have something to do, right? So, however, now that we have all of this documentation, what we're going to do now is we're going to zip it. So we're going to zip uh, we're going to zip the whole repo, and then I'm going to go to chatgpt.com, and then I'm going to do design a whole description and spec for a web UI to investigate and assist when code browsing and refactoring a code base based on our Refactorio tool. Design it from a user standpoint, usage patterns, and derive the views and layouts from there. I'm going to attach the code base, and then probably it's going to be nice to also attach just the SQLite thing. So temp refactorio UI. And then where's the glazed SQLite that it used? I wonder if we can find it somewhere. What is it doing? So it's storing the queries. Did it run the queries? It did run them, right? So temp cat make dir for script SQLite DB, and DB is temp index SQLite. And what is temp? Temp is this. Okay. So copy index. Oh, I'm going to zip all of this as well. No, I'm just going to add it as is. So why did it not work here? Temp refactor UI.zip. Upload, unable to upload. What the fuck? Is it too big? Did I zip like a binary? The fuck? Uh, no, this is just like a megabyte. That's weird. Usually that stuff works pretty well. Let's see if we can index if we can upload the database. Um, I wonder if it's like a temporary bug or if it's like something more serious, or like something that's on my side. So we're gonna upload the index SQLite, which is 20. The fuck? Uh, it looks like maybe some ChatGPT issues, huh? Okay. Let's see. All right, now it works. Temp refactorio. It's like the beauty of microservices, people. I'm not able to upload the zip. Come on. I just need to try this like 18,000 times. I'll get there. I'll just keep on trying. All right. All right. So this is going to take, I hope, 30 minutes or so. So tomorrow, when we continue streaming, we'll have some more data, right? But we've done in these 2 hours, even though I was like talking a lot, we've done a fair amount of work, which is after all our little Go mod hiccups, we do have, I think, a pretty thorough investigation of the status where we're at. I did definitely learn quite a bit about the software because when I started, I had like no idea, right? I just knew I told it to ingest symbols and diffs and like tree sitter stuff and go PLS and all of that stuff, but I didn't really know what it was all about. Now I have a couple of reports of it running through things. I have like a whole list of like 10 to 12 tasks to fix issues. I can answer questions. What diff search is not commit scope unless you run range ingest? Diff lines are tied to diff runs, not commits. If you run a single full range diff from root to head, all diff lines land in one run, so you cannot filter by a specific commit. Ingest range creates one diff run per commit. So uh, is there one diff run per commit? I'm not fully sure about the schema also, and hopefully having ChatGPT Pro do some research here, which I don't know if it's going to start it. Like I don't know what's going on here. Um, Hopefully once I have a visualization and maybe this guy gives me a little bit more info. It seems that they're having issues uh, on their system status. ChatGPT.com, custom GPT updates are failing for users. Elevated error. Some errors might experience issues loading. This was yesterday. Custom GPT updates are failing. All impacted things are now resolved. Well, clearly not. Because the thing doesn't seem to appear in my conversation list. Right, and it lost it all. So I'll do that later, right? I'm gonna go take a shower, have some lunch, go to my office, and when I come back, hopefully all of this stuff will be built, right? And then I can say like once you are done, work on ref 004 and can just queue that, right? So now hopefully when I come back from my shower, all of this stuff will have been done, and I'll get a postmortem once finished, right? And then see where we go from there. Because I'm adding like a new table, the meta key value table, this is something I might rezip the code base, and this might actually be like, a blessing in disguise. The fact that this doesn't work, but also so be it, right? So I hope that this was informative. If you like, the doc manager tool is also something, it's like full vibe, but it is proven to be quite useful. If you go, for example, at the search functionality, we can now see the search functionality design document. We can kind of look at it. It will tell us which files to look at, and we can open those and kind of look at them. I don't know what it's doing with the mermaid, but this is an interesting thing where if we start merging the code base analysis tool with the doc manager tool and be able to, for each commit in a ticket, start to look at the code that was modified in this context, like starting to have not just for humans, right, but because of the REST APIs used to build such UIs, we basically have a programmatic interface for agents to also do this kind of stuff. So ingest diff. So add a new ticket add a new task and update the implementation plan for Rev 004 to also address the fact that a range ingest should ingest. Whatever. I'm gonna leave that for now. Maybe ChatGPT will flag something there or not. I still don't really know what I'm gonna be wanting to look at, right? And I can tell already there's like things I don't think I've seen, but I will see in the UIs. Like I want to have diffs on functions. So I want to say like, how did this function change over the history of the code base, instead of saying like, show me diffs for this file, or I want to have this like kind of semantic diff, where tree sitter comes in pretty useful, but maybe Go PLS will also help quite a bit. I'm not fully sure how this will work in practice, but that's something I really want to be able to see, is like see how did this function evolve, which will be really useful for code reviews as well, right? Like if I have a CLI tool that allows me to do all of these queries, I can do different playbooks of like, if you're code reviewing, here's a list of commands that are useful. If you're doing X, this is a list of commands that are useful. And once all of this is like pretty solid, or at least the fundamental functionality is pretty solid, and we have a lot of SQL queries that are starting to accumulate, especially SQL queries run in sequence with like special endpoints in the HTTP. What I will introduce is a JavaScript interpreter, and then allow JavaScript and the model to basically create on-demand REST endpoints when it has some more complex querying to do. It generates the JavaScript for it. It runs on a VM. It's very safe. I can throw the code away or can keep it. It doesn't start to pollute my code base per se. And I can do on-demand REST endpoints and on-demand REST HTML widgets to do the queries that I'm currently interested in. So that's the advanced approach to this. I've created a bunch of tools that do it in the small, right? And now I kind of want to pull all of this idea that I have together and turn it into something that's going to be really, really useful and long-lived and like maintained a little bit, and instead of just creating it for a task at hand, right? So I know the concept works really, really well. So I'm really, really excited about this. And I hope you can kind of follow along what I'm doing. But I guess this is something I should like bake into a course or make it like more didactic. So there we go. That was it for today.